Hello, and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Tasneem Abrahams. I'm the founder of the Private Practice Growth Club, and on this channel, we share tips, tools, and tutorials for health professionals starting and growing a private practice in South Africa. Welcome to another video in the productivity series on this channel, where I'll be sharing some tips and information and technology reviews on how you can be not only more efficient but also effective in managing the many hats that you have to wear both as a business owner and in your personal life. So, as I mentioned in the first video in this series, there are many different methodologies that you can use to be more productive. And I'm going to be going over a few of them. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how you can use the free Google suite of tools attached to your calendar, combining that with a method called the Get Things Done method. Now, the Get Things Done method is a very popular task management system that was created by productivity consultant David Allen. But I will admit and put a disclaimer that this method is not for everyone. It's a very effective method if it works for you, but for some people it can be quite complex. And as I've mentioned in my previous video, there's no hard and fast rule that says that if you choose a productivity system that you have to stick to it to the T. So what I'm going to be doing here in this video is showing you how I've taken the key and core philosophies of the Get Things Done method and adapted it slightly and to use it within the Google Calendar and Google Task applications. So first of all, to give you an overview of what the Get Things Done methodology is, it's basically a way of processing information in an ordered fashion and helping you prioritize your most important tasks first. So the Get Things Done method is really made up of 5 simple practices to systemize the way that you process information and get things done. The first step is that you must capture everything. Anything that crosses your mind. It works on an inbox system in the sense that anything that you have on your brain needs to come out of your brain and be stored somewhere and captured somewhere. Whether it's a big idea or a small idea, something you need to do or something that you want to remember or reference later, anything that is in your brain needs to come out of your brain and be captured somewhere. So capture everything is the first step. The second step is to then clarify. Once you've taken what you have in your brain out of your brain, you now need to look at it and understand, process it and understand what is this item that you have taken out of your brain. Is it a project? Is it something that you have to remember to do? Is it something that you have to store? What is it? And then you're going to organize, where you're going to put everything in the right place. You're going to add dates to your calendar, or you're going to delegate projects to other people, file away reference material, or sort your tasks in order of priority. The fourth step is to review. You need to create a habit of frequently looking over, updating, and revising your lists. What most people do is they have a to-do list, but they only refer to it when they need to do something. Whereas the Get Things Done method, you have to constantly look at your list, reorganize things as need be, and prioritize lists according to how your day or your life changes. And the final step is to engage, where you actually have to get to work on the important stuff. So once you've scheduled things in, you have to stick to your schedule and do what you need to do. So what I'm going to be showing you today is how to actually use Google Calendar with Google Tasks, which are free applications you can use. Anybody who has a Google account or can create a Google account has access to these tools. And what's nice is because you will have access to it on your computer, on your phone, anywhere you go. So I'm going to show you how I've actually applied the Get Things Done method to my Google Calendar and Google Tasks to be able to manage everything that I need to do, both in my personal life and in my businesses. So let's get into it. Okay, so right now we are in my test Google account, where I've got my test Google Calendar, so that I can show you exactly how to use it with Google Tasks and apply the Get Things Done or a variation of the Get Things Done methodology. So firstly, for those of you who don't know some of the really cool features of Google Calendar, and maybe you just dump things in your calendar without really knowing how you can actually maximize the use of this calendar to increase your productivity, I just want to give you a brief tour of some of the features. So if you go on over to the side here under My Calendars, you'll see that there are events, birthdays, reminders, tasks, holidays. These are all default part of the Google Calendar when you first sign up. And the ticks next to it just indicates where you can show or hide certain calendars. So as you see holidays in South Africa, automatically all South African holidays are pre-populated for you, and you can choose to show it or hide it. So you'll see there that it's unchecked, but then you won't see Heritage Day on the calendar, and if I check it, you'll see Heritage Day on the calendar. Events would be your default items that you add into your calendar. So like, let's say you add something there, you can say the event is there and it's from 3 to 4. You can add Google details, all of that. We all know these things, right? That shows by default, and you can choose to uncheck it if you don't want to see it, or check it if you want to see it. Google adds a category for birthdays. I personally prefer not to use this, and I will show you how I actually use the task list to be more effective at reminding myself about birthdays. Reminders, I find I don't use, and the reason for that is when you set yourself a reminder, if you do not check the reminder off, the reminder moves with the days to the next day and the next day and the next day. So what might end up happening if you set a reminder to wish a friend happy birthday, even if you have done the thing that you were supposed to do, if you don't check it off, that reminder will move to the next day and the next day. And what will sometimes happen is on some days you'll have like 100 reminders because it's all from the past. So I preferably don't like using reminders. So I'm going to just hide that from my calendar. And then we have tasks, which is what we are actually going to do. So tasks work a lot like events, which is why I like using it, but they don't block out your event. They don't block out your calendar and make you unavailable. And the tasks also correlate with the Tasks app. So what I want to show you on the side here, you have these little symbols on the side. So these are additional Google tools. Google Keep is like a note-taking app. It works like Post-it notes if you want to remember certain things. And then, of course, you have your context, and this little tick here represents tasks. So if you click on that and open it, by default, Google provides you with a list called the to-do list. And this is where you can add tasks. So you can say task 1. You can put some information to describe the task as much as you want, and then you can allocate a date and time for when you want to be able to do that. You can even set it to repeat, and it will appear on your calendar once you have created that task. So if you see now, that task is now showing up on my calendar, and if I uncheck that, the task won't appear, but I will still get a reminder for that task because I had set a date and time. If you don't set a date and time, it will just appear in your to-do list, but it won't appear on your calendar. So how do we actually use these cool tools? Because remember, you have your Google Calendar on your phone, and you can also download the Google Tasks app for free on your phone. And anything you put in the Google Tasks app will sync automatically with this one that's on your computer, and will also appear on your calendar. You can also add tasks directly from your Google Calendar on your phone, and it will sync with your to-do list. So that's really cool. Okay, so what I want to do now is show you how you can actually use the Google Task List with the Get Things Done methodology. Now, if you remember, the very first step that I mentioned in the Get Things Done methodology is to capture everything. Now, as I mentioned, the default list in the Google Task app is the to-do list. You can actually rename this, so you can rename the list to capture, which is the first step in the Get Things Done method. I personally prefer to name my list the Brain Dump List, because I'm literally dumping my brain into this list. And the first step in the Get Things Done method is to actually put everything from your brain somewhere. So this is what I actually use this list for. So if I have an idea or if there's something I need to remember, and I don't have time to now think when I'm going to do it or what the details are, but I just want to get it out of my brain and onto something, I might put all those tasks there. So maybe I will say record YouTube video, or I will say, and then the next idea is I'll say wish sister happy birthday, or I will say find out about holiday accommodation in Durban, and then I will maybe say maybe I will need to remember to follow up with patient X for appointment, or I need to send out client statements, or I need to remember to write blog post about depression, and so on and so forth. So any idea that I have or thing that I want to remember, I will capture it in the brain dump list, in my task list. And you'll notice I haven't actually allocated any details or dates or times. It's just literally putting it somewhere. And that's the first step in the Get Things Done method. Now I'm going to switch over to a flow chart that tells you once you've captured all the ideas and information from your brain somewhere, how do you actually process that information? So what we have here is a flow chart that kind of summarizes how you process your tasks using the Get Things Done method. So in my brain, this funnel on the top here represents my brain dump list that I've created in the Google task list. Now I have to go through each item and ask myself, is this item actionable? Is it something that I can actually do? If the answer is no, then I have to ask myself, is this something that I need to trash, or is it something that I need to reference? So maybe it's an article that I read that there's not necessarily something that I can do with it, but I just want to remember it. So I need to reference or store it somewhere, right? Or is it something that is not actionable right now? So it's not really a priority, but I don't want to forget that it's something that I might be able to do in future. Is that something that I will categorize as a someday maybe item? However, if it is an item that is actionable right now, like say, for example, I need to remember to send out statements at the end of the month to all my patients, then it is an actionable item. I need to ask myself, how am I going to process this? What I then need to ask myself, is this something that can be done in 2 minutes or less? If it is something that I can easily do in 2 minutes or less, and if you are using an accounting software, you should be able to, or a practice management software, you should be able to do a statement run, which shouldn't take you more than 2 minutes. And then if the answer is yes, I'm either going to do it, or if the answer is no, I'm going to create a task for it, right? On the other hand, if this is something an idea that requires multiple tasks, so maybe it's a project. So let's say, for example, if you have an idea that you want to create a website, creating a website requires multiple steps. Maybe you're going to maybe you need to get photos, you need to get content, you need to decide on a software. It's a whole project, and within that there are many tasks. Then you're going to identify that as a project that needs to be planned out, and each of the tasks within that project will go back into the funnel, where you will need to brainstorm what individual task needs to be done, and it will go back through the processing funnel. So if we go back to the tasks that are individual tasks, if the answer is yes, I can do this quickly, like maybe you remembered, oh, today is my sister's birthday, it takes me 2 minutes to send her a WhatsApp, then I absolutely can do it right away. But if I can't do it in 2 minutes or less, then I need to create a task. And once I've created a task, I then need to decide, is this something that I can, if I'm not going to do it right now, is this something that I can schedule in my calendar to do so at some point now or in the future, then I'm either going to set a date or set a date in the future. Or is this something that I don't necessarily want to do myself, in which case I'm going to delegate it. And if I can't do it yet because maybe I'm relying on other people, then I will schedule that as waiting. Now, this is if you are following the Get Things Done method very strictly. But as I said, I don't use the Get Things Done very strictly. I just use it as a guideline. So I'm going to show you how I actually use the tasks feature of Google Calendar to apply the Get Things Done method in a much simpler, more easily manageable way. Okay, so I've switched back over to my Google thing, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create multiple lists based on that Get Things Done method. And what I like to do is, as you can see, you can create multiple lists. So brain dump list is my default list where everything goes into the first time I think of it. And then I'm going to create a list for someday maybe, because maybe, so this is where I'm going to put any task that is not something that I want to do right now. Then I'm going to create a list called reference. So this is where I'm going to add tasks that are things that I can't action, but it's something that I need to just remember and store somewhere. Then I'm going to create a list that says scheduled. So if it is a task that I can't do in 2 minutes or less, that I need to then schedule out, that's where I'm going to put that list. Then I'm going to create a list called projects, and this is where I'm going to put all projects. And then I'm going to create a new list called to delegate, because maybe it is a task but I don't want to do it. Maybe I need to delegate that to someone else to do. I'm going to put it there. Okay, so now you have a whole long list of lists. And what you're going to do is you're going to go to your brain dump list and you're going to look at each item on your list and ask yourself, okay, wish sister happy birthday. Is this something I can do right now? If so, do it quickly and tick it off as done. If it's not something you can do in 2 minutes or less, I'm going to ask myself, is this something that I want to do myself? And if so, can I schedule it in? So record YouTube video definitely takes longer than 2 minutes. So I'm actually going to tell myself, okay, I'm going to schedule this for next week, Tuesday, and I'm going to do it at 10 a.m. in the morning. Okay. And then I can even put details in what the video title is about. And I can say, length of the video. I can even list step 1, step 2, and so on. Okay. And now that I've scheduled this, I can actually move this to the scheduled list. So then I'm going to go on to the next part of my list. So I'm find out about holiday in Durban. Maybe I can decide, okay, well, I don't really have time to go and look on Airbnb and all of these places. I'm going to ask my husband if he can find out. So I'm going to move this to the delegate. So I'm maybe going to put in there hubby, and then I'm going to move this to the to delegate list. Then I look at follow up with patient X for appointment, and this is something that I maybe need to make a phone call. So I can either decide, well, I can't do it right now because maybe the time of day that it is not convenient for the patient, or I'd like to do it from my my practice phone, and maybe I'm not at the practice because I'm busy doing my list the night before, or whatever the case may be. I can then either schedule it, or I can maybe, if I have a reception staff, I can then also add this to the to delegate list. Then send out patient statements. Now this is again something that I can either schedule in to do when I actually sit down with my admin. So I can decide, let's say that I always, every Friday, I go over my accounts and my my invoices and the week's billings. So maybe on Fridays during that period is when I'm going to send out statements. So I can then schedule that and say, okay, I'm going to do that next Friday on the last day of the month, and I'm going to do that in the morning at 8 a.m. Or maybe I'm not even going to put a time, but you can put a time, or you can say, okay, I'm not going to have a time. I just know at some point during the day on Friday I need to do that. Okay, and once I've added a date and time to that, I can move that to the scheduled list. Now I've got write blog post about depression. Now I know that writing a blog post is more than just the task of writing the blog post. Maybe there's something that I need to research, and I can put in the details there. Research evidence-based articles on sensory approaches to managing depression. Okay, I've made that note to myself, and that's one of the elements of this task. Then find images for the blog post. Then I need to write the blog post. Then I need to upload it, to the website, and then I need to share it on social media. So there's many steps. So this is actually a project, and I could add a due date by when I need to finish all these things, or I can then just add this to a project. And then I've got task 1 that has already been scheduled, so I need to actually put that into the scheduled list. What you will also know is at the bottom here it will show completed. So if you want to see what tasks you've completed, you can go there and you can either delete the task, or if need be you can go to that task and you can actually untick it, because maybe I want to do something else and edit this and say send net florist, or order net florist gift, and maybe I plan to do that on another day, or maybe I then go ahead and do it and I can tick it as completed. So all your completed tasks will appear here. So now my brain dump list is completely empty, and if I go to my different lists, I'll be able to see where different things have been scheduled. So if I go to next week, I'll see there's tasks there, and like I said before, you can turn the task on and off, but because it's scheduled, I will still get a reminder notification from Google to say that this task is due today. Now, one thing that I want to remind you is that with the Get Things Done method, one of the steps is to review. That is the 4th step, is that you constantly need to review. So the idea is that on the go, you can use your brain dump list, but then you need to review your list constantly. So my process usually in the morning is, the first thing I do in the morning is I open up my Google Calendar, and then I go and review my brain dump list and see if there's any tasks that need to be processed or anything that I need to add to this brain dump list. And then I will go through and look at my scheduled list and see, okay, what is it that I need to do today? What is it that I need, and how important is it? Then you can also star certain things, like maybe I want to make that an important item that I mustn't forget. And you can do this the night before as well, so that you can prepare for the next day, so that tomorrow morning, so I can identify what are my most important tasks. Okay, I think this task is most important and this task is most important. Tomorrow morning when I open up my Google Calendar, I can go and look at what are my starred tasks and see which are the ones that are actually scheduled, and then I can follow that according to my plan. This way I always know when I need to do certain things, and I can make sure that I'm prioritizing my time and that I never forget or let any activities or tasks or to-do items slip through the cracks. Now, I do also, in combination with this, use time blocking in my Google Calendar, but that is a whole other video for a whole other day. So I hope that you found this helpful. Do let me know in the comments if this is something that you think you might use and implement, or if there's another system or tool that you use that you really love and that you find very, very effective. Let me know in the comments. I'd be love to hear it. I will explore it. And as I said, I'll be doing tutorials on many different tools and productivity systems on this channel in the productivity playlist. So don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and also hit the bell for notifications of new videos.